So, what it means is, as far as the Illuminati are concerned, as far as the New World Order agenda goes, there is a major snafu in the engine room. Seriously. They're in big trouble. I've never seen this before in my life. I've never seen anything like this happen before in my life. And I don't think I can quite get my head around it. I mean, this is just so... It is something wonderful. It's something we should rejoice.
Yeah.
And it's just something that I'm still in... Well, after we had the referendum, right, and it came back to leave, I had to go off to Scotland. I went off to Scotland the next day because I was going to the Scottish UFO Paranormal Conference. And I experienced what I called happy shock. It's just... I was so shocked. I was happy. I was so shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you see me all right? Am I framed okay?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay. And that's kind of like what I'm like now. I mean, it's like, what? It's just, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen. It's not over yet. But there's no doubt the hidden hand, the Illuminati, really, so much has happened which they did not intend and they did not want. And what that's going to happen now is they're going to regroup and they're going to try and get back the control they lost. So we've got to be ready for them when they do that.
Yeah. We've
got to be on our guard because they're going to try and get back the control they lost. And now, as far as Trump goes, I mean, if they couldn't kill him during the primaries, I mean, they may try to take him out. They might try to destroy him with a political scandal, which will get him impeached. That's something they could try. Or it could be simply he'll have a light aircraft crash or a heart attack. Or someone will shoot him like they did Kennedy.
Yeah.
Something like that might happen.
They're more sophisticated, they've got frequencies.
Exactly, there's all kinds of things they could do to shut him off. I mean, they didn't. The thing is, they didn't manage to do it before. And the thing about Trump is that it pays not to underestimate him because he's extraordinarily intelligent.
Yeah.
He's very resourceful. He's tough as old boots. And it's quite likely that he has. He probably is. He must be aware of this. He has to be aware of this.
Yeah. Which is why he's rushing, perhaps.
Well, he does. I do get the sense he feels he has limited time. He's talking about a 100-day plan. 100 days? He's supposed to have 4 years in office. He's just won an election. He's allowed 4 years in office.
Yeah.
8 if he gets re-elected.
Yeah.
So what's the rush? What's up, Donald? Come on, you can take your time. No, but he's signed He's signed a whole load of executive orders. I know that some of them have been overturned by the Supreme Court. It's the travel ban, which has been overturned by the Supreme Court, and that's, I think, may have been an error on his part because he needs to. I think he needs to go for broke. If he's only got 100 days, he's done an awful lot, but he needs to go further, and he may be still boxing clever, in the sense that he's trying to maybe appease his enemies to a certain extent. Which I think is a mistake because I don't think that will work. I mean, he may be holding certain things back on the proviso that they leave him alone. He could have some kind of dead man's trigger arranged so that basically, if anything happens to me or Ivana or any of my Ivanka, his wife, or any of my children or grandchildren, Melania, that's it. Ivana was the first wife, because he was married to her for about 20 years. Yeah, he's had about 4 wives, which is not a lot for a rich old man. But most rich old men get about 6 or 7. He's about 4. So. Ivana was his last wife. This is Melania. Yeah, his daughter's Ivanka, and he's got some grandkids. But he may say, anything happens to them, I've just got to put in a code word and all this hits the internet. I've got a feeling that Assange and Manning and Snowden have something similar, and maybe we've got time to talk a bit more about them later.
Yeah, lovely.
But there's absolutely no doubt that he's extremely shrewd and crafty, is Trump.
Yeah.
And it pays not to underestimate him. So this could be another of his tricks. However, you see, when he brought in the ban on travel from certain countries he listed, it was called a Muslim travel ban, which is actually incorrect because it had nothing to do with religion. It was simply nationality. If you want to ban Muslims, then you draw up a list of 4 other countries: Indonesia, India, Pakistan, Nigeria. Because because 3/4 of all the world's Muslims live in those countries.
All right.
But you can travel to the United States from those countries, no problem at all.
Okay.
So he doesn't want to keep Muslims out. The countries he's talking about, coincidentally, are those that the Americans have been bombing for the last 15 years. Just a coincidence, nothing to worry about. That's interesting. And it was originally suggested by Obama, so it's actually not Trump's idea. So Trump is he's just carrying on a policy that was initiated by Barack Obama.
Okay.
But the reason he said this, he's basically just trotted out the official story when he brought this out. When he brought this policy in, he just said, "I've got to protect the American people from terrorism from these countries," which is partly true, but he's not telling the full story. He needs to tell the full story. He needs to explain how that these terrorists are all the major terrorist incidents of the last 2 years are organised by the powers that be, by the globalist intelligence network. We've known this from numerous whistleblowers. David Shayler talked about this. He talked about basically the Islamic opposition in Libya, which was controlled by MI5. He was a member of MI5, and he said that my own organisation was involved in running this insurgent operation in Libya. These are the people now in control of Libya. They took Colonel Gaddafi and they lynched him. They kicked him to death in the streets, and now they're running the country. And it was all organised. Shayler was proved right.
Yeah.
They
destroyed that country.
Oh, it's devastated now. I mean, it was before then. It was it had the highest standard of living in Africa.
Yeah.
It had Gaddafi was not perfect. Right? He was not.
Nobody is.
Nobody is, but he was very flawed in many ways.
Yeah.
But he was respected by his people, and he gave them an awful lot. I mean, everyone had an education. There was healthcare. People could travel.
Had a house.
Everyone had a house. And what's more, I think this is the reason why it was decided to take him out. He was going to introduce a gold standard currency, a new Bank of Africa, which would be a gold standard bank.
Yeah.
It would be separated from the Rothschilds' international banking system.
Yeah.
And that is like poison to the financial system of the world from their point of view. Not to us. For us, it's like manna from heaven.
Yeah.
But from their point of view, it's like pouring rat poison into their plants.
Oh God, like fluoride in the water.
Okay, that's something else they would come on to, yeah. So that was what Gaddafi was going to do. He'd also discovered a vast amount of water, which is, you think of deserts as dry places, but they're actually only dry on the surface. If you dig down, you can very often find water.
Yeah.
And he discovered a huge aquifer, which is like an underground lake. And it was enormous, and he was going to pump that water to the surface and basically sell it. And firstly supply his own people with it, but sell it abroad. And they say water's becoming like oil in this world, fresh water.
Yeah,
that was another reason. But the point is, I'm digressing slightly. But the point is that Trump knows all this. Trump is not a fool, and he's also not complicit. So he cannot possibly fail to realise that the 9/11 attacks were an inside job. They were done by the globalist intelligence agencies, which have been in control of the US government. He has to know this, but he needs to act on that knowledge, and he needs to make it clear when he brings in these travel bans and things like that. He has to make it clear why he's doing it, not just trot out the official story about, oh yeah, we're protecting Americans from terrorists, but he should also add, yes, but these terrorists are not who you think they are.
Yeah.
Know what I mean?
Yeah.
He needs to come clean. And he needs to come clean on 9/11. He needs to come clean on 9/11.
Yeah.
And he needs to come clean on the UFOs. He has
That's
to do.
it. True.
Comes into the disclosure issue, which I discussed before. But I think it's moved on to another step now. And people like Stephen Bassett, they pinned all their hopes on Hillary.
Oh God.
Which is, I thought at the time that's foolish. I mean, when Trump was elected, Grant Cameron, he wrote this long screed, which was just a 20,000 word lament about how awful Trump is and how wonderful Hillary would have been. She'd have been a wonderful president. And he's like, And I just think to myself, look, I actually made a little video of this, and I said, Grant, for goodness sake, go out, get drunk, get it out of your system, and come back and write something better, write something a bit more hopeful. I actually disagree, because with Steve and other people were pinning their hopes on Hillary because she was involved with the Rockefeller Initiative. This is Lawrence Rockefeller's plan to have a UFO disclosure. And Hillary had been interviewed on the Jimmy Kimmel show about this, as had Bill Clinton, and they made some little hints, they dropped some hints about what they knew about, wanting to know more about UFOs. And now Trump, I asked Steve this when last time he was on my show. I've got to get Steve back on the show actually and pick his brains about what's happened since. But I asked Steve, I said, well, what about Trump? And he just said, what about him? Trump hasn't even mentioned UFOs. From what I can tell, he has no interest in the UFO issue. He's certainly not going to be the disclosure president. It's got to be Hillary. When now Trump's in power, I do wonder if Trump, being the non-establishment candidate that he is, being this person who's not connected, who's not meant to be president, perhaps now this is the best chance for disclosure.
Yeah. Having
someone like him. It's because of his independence, his independent nature of him, that he's if anyone's going to disclose, it's going to be him. I've got to get Steve back on my show, talk to him about that.
Okay.
So that's what I'm wondering. So Trump has to come clean on the UFOs. Trump's got to do disclosure. It's Friday night. It might happen tonight. You never know. I might get home, switch on the TV, and found out that Trump stood there and said, "My fellow Americans, there are UFOs. I wasn't going to tell you. My predecessor didn't tell you, but I'm telling you now. There are UFOs. They are real, and we have free energy, and it's going to transform." You know the story. You know,
yeah,
UFO disclosure speech. So that could be. So that would be wonderful. I mean, that would be a wonderful way to start 2017. Isn't that February?
Yeah,
wouldn't it? Honestly, if 2017 is half as good as 2016 was, I would jump for joy. And to think, I did wonder for a while, was I wasting my time? Have we all been wasting our time?
There's a thought.
I did wonder for a while. Miles sweating away. I'm in a lockdown. Leave me alone. And Richard D. Hall travelling around the world, travelling around the country, standing there making these videos. You making your videos and things like that. Me making mine, doing my radio show. All these other people and all the work we've been doing in the conspiratorial community. Were we just wasting our time? Were we just banging our heads against a brick wall for something that would never happen, was impossible? And finally, there's that song by Tracy Chapman, which contains the lyrics, "Finally the tables are starting to turn." You know the song I mean?
No, I don't.
Oh, it's a great song. It's a great song. Talking about a revolution by
that one.
Tracy Chapman, yeah.
Yeah, then I do know it.
Is that the situation we're in? Is this springtime in Narnia? It's not the end.
No.
It's not even nearly the end, but maybe it's the beginning of the end. And it's not sunk in yet, I don't think. The thought that it's going to happen. It's going to happen in our lifetimes. We are going to see the transformation of the world from the Illuminati occupation to the post-Illuminati era. We're actually going to live to see it.
Wow.
And I did wonder. I was thinking to myself, well, I'm going to do what I do. I'm going to carry on doing what I do, and if it doesn't, maybe it won't happen in my lifetime. Maybe we'll have to wait till after then. But I'll still do it for the sake of the kids and the grandkids.
Exactly, yeah.
But to think it could happen now, in our lifetimes,
wow.
And we'll see it. We'll actually be around to see it. That'd be wonderful. That'd be wonderful. That means I'll die happy. I really will. If that happens, I really will. Because I've dedicated my life to this. I really have.
Yeah, you have.
And this T-shirt, I bought this very appropriate T-shirt, the New World Order, based on the Godfather logo. But maybe these little strings here on the puppet, hand holding the marionette strings.
Yeah,
maybe these strings are starting to fray a bit.
Yeah.
And they're going to break, and the puppet is going to go off and do what it wants. It does look to me as if the various power structures in the world up till now have been behaving in line with what you'd expect if there was some kind of overriding force guiding them. The eye in the pyramid, at the top of the pyramid, which was controlling all these independent organisations, and they were all falling in line. They were doing what they were doing in accordance with the rules. It did look like that, didn't it? I mean, it used to look like that. In 2016, we've seen
like the Gestapo or something.
Yeah, exactly. The hidden organisation behind everything. But in 2016, we've seen totally different. We've seen a totally different situation. We've seen these various power structures behaving completely chaotically. It's like they really have not had a call from headquarters for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, they've been on the phone to head office saying, "What do we do now?" There's no one in. That's what it's like. That's what it feels like. It's and that situation is going. Well, it can obviously the hidden hand is not going to give up easily. Its grip is loosening, but it's going to try and get another grip. It's going to come back and it's going to try and have another go. It's going to regroup and it's going to try again. And we've got to be ready for it, like I said. And we are ready for it. I think we are. But now we've got the advantage. We've got the upper hand on them, and they are in the defensive. They are fighting the rearguard action. So that fills me with hope. It really does. I feel hope. This year, it's been the best year of my life. I feel hope I've never felt before.
Wow.
I really do. And what happens now, we'll have to wait and see, but it's going to be very exciting finding out. It really is. I can't wait. It really is.
Just have faith.
Have faith. Yeah, we've got to believe. We've got to have faith.
You don't have to believe anything. Just have faith.
Yeah. I think I do get the feeling there's a natural law in force here, and and it seems as if the natural law is exerting itself after maybe a long dormancy. Maybe to use the analogy of the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe again. This is the return of the lion.
Yeah.
It's not literally a lion. There's no real lion called Aslan. It doesn't exist. It's a fictional invention, but it's symbolic. It's symbolic of perhaps something that's happening in the world which is changing for the better. This change, this symbolic transformation that David Icke's been talking about in many, many ways for a while.
Yeah.
And ironically, David, what's ironic, it's very sad actually, David is one of the pessimists. Which is very, very... He seems to be more pessimistic than usual this year. He's denounced Trump completely as an insider.
Yeah.
Which I think is foolish. It's actually... It's below his normal standards, I'd say, in terms of his analysis. I think it's a major mistake he's made. Which is a shame.
You've made similar ones with your analyses, yeah.
But David, I think Trump is not an insider. He's not. Trump is an aberration. Trump is a loose cannon.
Yeah.
And he's someone who could do a lot of good.
I think so.
He's someone who could do a lot of good. If he can keep him, like I said, if he can just stay alive and stay in office.
Yeah.
With everyone against him, the press against him, his own party's against him.
But regardless of all of that.
The judiciary, everyone's against him. But he's like I say, he's very tough. He's resourceful.
Yeah.
See how long he can hang in there and see how much he can do.
Yeah.
And when he does go down, you've got to make sure everyone knows about it.
Yeah, but I don't think he'll go down.
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
Hopefully he won't be sold out either. I hope that won't happen.
Well, that will depend on his choices.
Yeah.
And who he has around him.
Well, again, that's it. I mean, when he brings in people like Mitt Romney and John Bolton, is this another of his tricks?
The closer your enemies are, you keep your enemies close.
Yes. That's keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. Yeah. So yes, it could be a trick of his. It could just be a trick of his.
Yeah.
Now, there's another hopeful sign, is that the war on whistleblowers appears to be coming to an end.
Yes.
And again, this is. I think it's significant. It's part, I think, of the Trump effect, because even though one of the last acts that Barack Obama did just a couple of days before Trump's inauguration was to commute sentence of Chelsea Manning.
Yeah.
Chelsea Manning, who used to be Bradley Manning, he went through a sex change, was a soldier who blew the whistle on on a cover-up, because the US forces in Iraq, they shot up a load of journalists from a helicopter.
Yes.
I think 8 people were killed. 2 of them were Reuters employees, so they were on the British news agency payroll. they just shot at this group of journalists just doing their job, thinking they were terrorists, and 8 of them were killed. And the government tried to cover it up because they wanted to just keep it quiet and suppress this information. It's a terrible blunder they made. But thanks to Manning, they didn't. But Manning was punished he was given 96 years in jail, which of course he would never have seen the end of. He would have died in jail. Not least, I mean, even if he lived a normal lifespan, although his health was so terrible that because he really suffered, his mental and physical health went downhill, and he probably wouldn't last another 10 years. But he's going to be out in May.
Good.
They're going to, or she is now. She's going to be out in May. Thanks. Obama did that just before the end of.
He could have done it years ago.
He could have done it any time. He did it for political reasons. He wanted to be remembered as the president who freed Chelsea Manning. Yeah. He doesn't want Trump getting that accolade, even though it's Trump's idea. And basically, Julian Assange, he's down a bit near Knightsbridge, isn't he? He's at the Ecuadorian Assembly, just a couple of miles from here. He's been there since 2012. And he's also in poor health as a result of being stuck in this embassy, which is just it looks like a big building, but there's only 2 floors. It's only 2 floors, that embassy. So he's stuck in what is essentially like a two-story flat, yeah. And you can see he's pale because he hasn't had enough sunlight. He's got a balcony he can go out on for fresh air and sunlight. That's it. So he hasn't had any sunlight or fresh air, and he is looking the worst for it, actually. But he's
got a lot of resolve though.
Yeah.
That'll see him through.
He really has, yeah. And he's done a deal. I mean, he says when Manning's free, he'll come out.
Yeah, but he said he didn't actually say that.
Didn't he?
He said he's much more intelligent than to say anything like that.
What did he say?
I've forgotten exactly how, it was just that he didn't say that. He was merely offering a debate.
Oh right, yeah. He's done some sort of deal, hasn't he? He's done some sort of deal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a calculated risk for him because
he wouldn't be so stupid as to offer himself up like that. I don't think so.
And I mean, there's not a lot they can do to him now because the justice for originally arresting, the purpose for arresting him in the first place was because apparently a woman in Sweden had accused him of raping her.
Yeah.
But she's dropped all those. That's been completely and utterly thrown out now.
Yeah.
Even she's admitted it was not true, and the judiciary in Sweden has completely thrown it out. And there's been 4 independent judicial reviews in Britain that have completely dismissed it.
Yeah.
So he's got nothing to fear from that.
And the UN also said.
Yeah.
That he was being held under false pretenses. Really.
Exactly. Yeah. And with Trump as president, I don't think Trump is going. I think Trump is actually very, very different to Obama in that respect. Trump is actually good. We'll probably just pardon him and let him go home.
But there's nothing to pardon him for.
Well, exactly. If he's going to let Manning out, they can't exactly say well Assange is still guilty because
he just has to dismiss it all.
Yeah. Exactly.
And
this gives me hope because up till now what they've been whistleblowers have been the reason whistleblowers have been dealt so harshly a harsh card is as set an example to others. It's rather like this film Spartacus. Do you remember the end of that? They crucify all the slaves that rebelled, Spartacus and all his men. They were crucified along the road to Rome. And that was a warning to the other slaves not to rebel. And I think that that's what they did to Manning and to Assange was a warning to other people not to speak up because you'll end up like you'll spend the rest of your life in jail.
Yeah.
And you'll go crazy. Yeah, exactly. But that's now, if this war of whistleblowers ends, there's going to be more whistleblowers.
Is he going to get rid of Guantanamo Bay?
I hope so, yeah, because the Guantanamo Bay is an abomination. It's a place where the US government are essentially saying, I mean, Trump, this again, he says, I hope Trump will keep his promises here. Even Obama said he was going to work to close Guantanamo Bay. But I mean, Trump, I think, will do it.
Yeah.
It's basically the government, they're saying, this is all part of the 9/11 effect. And then the Patriot Act and things like that, all this post 9/11 hysteria, saying, basically, we can take anyone, anywhere in the world, and we can lock them up. And we don't have to charge them with anything. We can just lock him up and keep him there for as long as we like. That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
Which could be, it could be you,
So
it could be
we'll
me.
dismiss our responsibility
Yeah.
for what actually happened here.
Exactly.
You know.
It's complete extrajudicial imprisonment.
Mm.
Now, that used to be called kidnapping. That's what it used to be called. But when the government does it, oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
If I did that to somebody, if I pulled them off the street and locked them in a room in my house, that'd be kidnapping. The government can do it. They can do it. The US government does it. It's fine. We just lock them up, and they'll say. And the justification is, well, there is a danger. There's evidence to suggest they're involved with terrorist activities. But then you say, well, evidence? And you say, yes, and we can't tell you what the evidence is. Well, but you have evidence, yeah. Enough for a prosecution case? Well, yeah. Well, put them on trial then. If they're found guilty, sure, lock them up. Throw away the key. But they've got to have their day in court. That's part of the system. Everyone's entitled to a fair trial. They won't give these people trials. They won't give them trials because they know there's not enough evidence to convict them.
Yeah.
They'd have to let them go. Oh, it's
sick.
Yeah, it is sick. So hopefully that will go too, because that's where I don't think they would get away with putting Assange in there. But I mean, I don't think Trump will do that. But there's also the good news. Gary McKinnon is now safe.
Yeah.
He had this extradition to the US hanging over his head for years because now this is where the UFO issue comes in, because he was connected to that.
Yes.
Because he saw the UFOs. He actually hacked into the. Well, this is what he claims, and I believe him because what he says ties in so much with what other people have said about the inside of what's the government, the secrets the government's keeping. He did it. He was motivated by a sense of righteous indignation. He did it because he wanted to know about free energy, basically.
Yeah.
He'd seen Dr. Stephen Greer's Disclosure Project press conference, and so he knew he had IT skills. But he said, "Excuse me, I'll do that. I will do that. I will hack into this. I'll hack in, and I'll get all the secrets." So then, of course, they arrested him. Now, by rights, he should have. Apparently, for criminal damage, he's got like 130 counts of criminal damage. But they plan to basically, because it's this war on whistleblowers. It's crucifying him on the road to Rome. Send him over to the States. Basically, lock him up for 76 years, which will. I mean, he was in his early 40s, so he basically would die in jail. Like Manning, it's a life sentence. But Theresa May, when she was Home Secretary, she, to give her credit where credit's due, she blocked that extradition order.
Yeah.
And what's more, he's not even going to be prosecuted in this country now, so which is good. So he's free. But this is giving essentially a green light to other people who have secrets to come forward.
Wow.
Is to say, look, the war against people like you is going to end. If you speak out, you become a whistleblower. You will be treated well. You'll be treated properly.
Yeah.
Okay, you won't be punished.